Between Dottore's godhood experiment and the literal return of the Welkin moon that is Columbina, we're probably looking at the biggest climax in the Nodcry arc yet. But it actually doesn't end there, because we might end up with the Shade visiting by the end of this Archon quest, or this region. Because, well, I'm sure a human becoming a literal god is not allowed in the laws of Celestia. Hey guys, what's up? Aru. So if you want to know more about that and the other details within the Luna 4 special program that I could find, then be sure to stick around. The Archon quest is titled Traveler on a Winter's Night, which takes us back to the Winter Night's last Zoe and Sarelainen, the Stranger of Winter's Day. Now, because of that, it does feel like Snezhnaya is right on the horizon, quite possibly right after Luna 4, and there's a real possibility that we head there immediately right after fighting Dottore. Now, this air quotes winter that keeps popping up recently isn't a good thing at all, because I think it is the endless blizzard night of winter in Snezhnaya, or the start of Project Stuzha. This means we're not just visiting a new nation, but we're witnessing the Fatui's endgame finally beginning. Remember, Project Stuzha is the main project of the Tsaritsas, and Dottore becoming a god might just be the catalyst that starts that. Anyway, to add to Project Stuzha and the burning of the old world, which is the plan of the Tsaritsa, the new Traveler outfit is also titled as Heaven and the Earth are made anew, which is only unlockable after the final Luna 4 Archon quest. Now, these air quotes clothes likely being part of their spaceship wardrobe or wherever original world they came from. The fact that these outfits give us buffs also adds to the original power that was stolen from us, but it might also mean that Dottore tampered with our ship using his variables from Luna 3 and used it in his god form. The name itself also marks when the rules of the world changes, which not only adds to Project Stuzha and the burning of the old world, but also adds to our sibling wishing to overthrow the heavenly principles and free humanity. Regardless if they're marked as a descender or not, they still have the will to change the world. And it was mentioned in the Reunited teaser, but also because in Natlan, our sibling recently got a special memory atlas that records all memories, as well as wanting to create an entirely new world, which fits with the narrative Heaven and Earth made anew. After everything that happens in Nodcry, our sibling is going to change both Heaven and Earth at some point, and once we take back our full Descender powers, the real fight begins. Not with the Shades and not with the other Archons or the Fatui, but with the heavenly principles who will have awakened to our true arrival. Next, the return of Columbina's song is something that I keep saying a lot, like a mad monk in every video, and no one seems to talk about it still. The Nodcry song and Columbina's song are lore bombs that practically confirms that she is the Welkin moon and spoil the entire story once you translate the songs. When you pair the song of the Welkin moon with Nodcry's Latin song, as well as Columbina's song that she hums in her cave, it tells a story of a public succession ritual, which is a transition from the old moons to the rising new one, the fourth moon, which I've theorized for a very long time. We've already seen the rest happen in Luna 1, 2, and 3, specifically through the Frost Moon Scions' prophecy of a new moon and the final parting words of the iridescent moon after she faded away, as well as the death of the old moon, which just happened. And all that's left is for a flood to arrive in Nodcry, of which I think Dottore is the one who's gonna be responsible for it, and will end with the arrival of the new moon, which is why I think that she'll be arriving later after the battle, because that's her up there. Columbina either arrives after we defeat Dottore or that she arrives to defeat Dottore herself. Ancient prophecies and Doomsday prophecies have been a common thing within Genshin lore. Stuff like the Narzissenkreuz and the Doomsday prophecy align perfectly well with the Welkin prophecy, which is the Song of Nodcry. If you want to know the translation of every lyric of the song, then you can watch this video right here. I went through the entire song, don't worry. But to summarize it, the Song of Welkin Moon's Homecoming is a coronation ritual for this new era. Each verse tells the full story, where the voice of the old moon asks the people to reject the fake sky of Tevat, while the people of Nodcry search for their moon and choosing to forge a new fate despite the abyss and the truth of the real sky, of which does not have a sun and also doesn't have a proper moon. I mean, unless you count this one. The lyrics itself also mirror and reflect both an exile of the moon and the homecoming of the new moon, which adds to the current lore that Columbina, the Welkin moon was cast out of the heavens during the Heavenly War with Nibelung. The finale of the song calls for the new moon to rise, even though its arrival brings a diluvian period, a massive flood or any sort of calamity intended to wash away the false world, which I think is going to happen right after we defeat Dottore. Now this ends with the one true moon and her true light finally coming to Teyvat, which is also mentioned in the non-cry song. This again aligns perfectly with the Doomsday clock and the Narzissenkreuz prophecy and non-cry's prophecy, which predicted the end of the current world cycle, which we'll talk about right now. All of the lore regarding the Doomsday prophecy and the Narzissenkreuz stems from one Rene de Petrichor, whose world formula and Doomsday clock predicted the inevitable apocalypse for all of Teyvat. This is very important right now because Teyvat is reaching a point in the cycle that will mark its harmony between human mortal ambition and the truth about godhood. Rene de Petrichor saw a future where all life in Teyvat would be dissolved by a flood, and while our intervention in Fontaine, the Narzissenkreuz Ordo, kind of broke that specific clock, it still didn't alter the fate of Teyvat completely. Rene himself became his own calamity that endangered Fontaine, but the broader root cycles that he studied and how it ended are still in motion. That means that the real prophecy hasn't happened yet. This ties back to the root cycles that Rene identified, which are the cycles representing the rise and fall of civilizations under different themes. The first cycle is for paradise, the second cycle is for dragons, and the third cycle is for humans and divinity, all of which happened in specific areas within history. What's more interesting about cycle 3 specifically is that it's mentioned to be a half circle, which means that the fall of Conria and Remoria wasn't the end of that cycle. So the freedom from the god cycle that Rene spoke of isn't exclusive to Conria and Remoria, but it is the end game for all of Teyvat, which is evident in all of the regions that we've been to so far. Human autonomy and almost approaching godhood for some. We're still on that half circle stage, which means that we need to complete the other half of that circle. What's missing from this current cycle is the relationship between human autonomy and God's divine power, and the missing piece was the careful understanding between the two, and achieving harmony of physical and spiritual or divine. Nadlan has already showed an example of humans becoming gods through human archons, and the Pyronosis still hasn't been taken, as well as Capitano and Mawika being the very examples of human and divine understanding. The result of this would reflect the 6th and 7th cycle of the actual real-life root cycles and races, which focuses on the future and ascension, where humans complete true spiritual and physical understanding of the world. This aligns with the future that was once seen by the first angel, Koitar, where humans and gods are on the same level. So, because of that, we can expect a visit from the Shades, or maybe even a message from the Heavenly Principles after our battle with Dottore. The final act of Luna 4 Archon Quest is titled The True Moon, or at least I think it is, which happens by the end of our battle with Dottore and his false moon. It also makes sense why Columbina's return is called the Welkin Moon's Homecoming, since it's the moment Columbina makes her grand appearance. Throughout the special program, Columbina has been focused on her name, which she will return with her new name at the end of the battle. And during the special program, Dottore even taunts us in his boss form, saying this: Now this suggests that he either views his own moon creation as the only real moon, or that he's planning to crash the fabricated moon into Teyvat to shatter the fake sky once and for all, which is honestly how Project Stuzha should start, with a bang. If you've noticed, when Dottore tears open the sky with his descender-like powers, there is of course no sun, and the moon in the distance is dark. This means that the long night of Project Stuzha is the exact moment the fake sky is destroyed and the real dark sky is revealed. No sun, no moon, just darkness. Straight up darkness and a lot of the abyss. Now, specifically in Dottore's boss form, he is officially known as the Heretic of the False Moon, and apart from his new mask featuring the Fatui symbol, he also appears to be wielding the lunar bow of Terpicraunes, the weapon originally created by Nibelung the Dragon King and was used in the Heavenly War against the Abyss and the Heavenly Principles. This resulted in the death of two moons, the death of Nibelung, theoretically, and the third moon being flung outside of the fake sky, which I think is this one right here, and is also where Columbina might have been. Interestingly, the boss fight reflects his descender-like powers, and the circuit lines on his body are a reflection of him basically gaining admin privileges in his boss domain. He can stop and reverse time to when his health is still full, he can invert user inputs, and he can pretty much summon whatever he finds in the admin logs into his boss domain. Now, the only reason that I think the Heavenly Principles or the Shades haven't gone down to squash him is because he hasn't posed a big enough threat to Celestia specifically, and that the range of Dottore's powers don't control all of Teyvat just yet. He can only have that power in a small area for now, which is this hand platform that he made. Bear in mind that the Shades alone can delete the whole world if they wanted to. They just can't because they weren't ordered to, and that there's no real threat. The real threat lies in Columbina, the true Frost Moon. Now, I don't know how she's gonna be able to do this, but I think that she'll have the 3 moons in her power. Her ultimate is already showing the 3 moons right behind her, and in the trailer we can also see 3 moons specifically in the sky. Whether or not this is Dottore's fake moons or the real moons that for some reason isn't actually dead. I also think that Columbina is a time traveler, not because she went into that moon gate, but because she was sent here 5,000 years ago by Easteroth. All of the lore regarding Columbina and the worship of her as the Frost Moon have already existed before she was even born. So it stands to reason that Columbina isn't from this era, and is also why I think one of the Shades is going to appear at the end of this Archon quest. Now, Dottore's boss form uses the 2 marrows that he stole from us. The iridescent moon sits right above his head while the eternal moon hovers right around the side. Since he's missing the frost moon, he basically created a false moon proxy catalyst that harnesses energy from the massive rip in the sky and directly tying him to the frost moon. Similar to the ritual that senses the frost moon that caught Columbina in Luna 3, he now uses this new form to harness the frost moon outside of the world, which is why he makes this rip in the sky to take moon energy from this dark moon in the distance. The special program also stated that his power is now on the level of a god, but I don't think that he's on the level of the Shades. Ripping open the fabric of space and throwing meatballs have already been done by the other Archons, so Dottore's current power is just a step above that. Maybe Sinner level, but not particularly Shade level power. But Dottore's ultimate goal is clear though, that being to reach the status of Nibelung or the Heavenly Principles, to become a descender in his own right. So the Lantern Rite is returning to Liyue, and it's got its own moon problem as well. Neuvillette is apparently visiting on vacation, and I'm still hoping that he finally gets a 1v1 with Zhongli, but the real focus is the Daughter of Time and Venti's big sister, Zibai. Zibai has a lot of lore regarding the old world solar chariot and the original moon lore. I hazard to guess that she's going to make an appearance in Nodcry as well, but her story will still be focused within the Lantern Rite and the crisis in Liyue. Luna 4 Lantern Rite is focused on the world changing and that fate is entangled, specifically regarding Liyue's moon going dark during the festival. This darkness seems connected to a painting shown in the program where Zibai faces off against a massive frog-like monster. This beast, I think, could represent the abyss or the realm of the dead, potentially being an abyssal manifestation of Tao Do. If you haven't done the Lantern Rite before, Tao Do is the guardian of Liyue's underworld borders. Basically, you can think of him as the Lord of the Night in Natlan, but in Liyue. Now, you might wonder why it's a frog specifically, but frogs are actually the dragons of Liyue, specifically Ajdaha and the Vishaps, whose design is based off of a more crocodilian and toad-like ancient Chinese concept of dragons and Vishaps. Distinctive crocodilian and toad-like traits are also present in some of Natlan's saurians as well, so the dark frog or toad in Liyue might just be an abyssal dragon mimic, which means that we might see a mimic of Ajdaha and whatever Zibai knows about him. We also get to see Chenyu Vale in the teaser, which is one of my favorite areas, which means we're likely getting more history of the Adepti Fujin and Ling Yuan, as well as some new Archon War lore regarding the collapse of Liyue's borders and the lore regarding Tao Do. Interestingly, Liyue's dark moon phenomenon is a different event from the ones we're seeing in Nodcry, so it's an event specific to Liyue and the spiritual energy of Lantern Rite itself. Now then, the 6 upcoming characters to me are the following, and I won't go into much detail for now. I'll probably just make a different video for it. First is Lohan, the vice captain of the Favonius Knights 5th Division. His name has been name-dropped by Mika, if I can remember correctly, in the recent Dragonspine event, and is a high-ranking member of Varka's expeditionary force. Next is the dual claymore-wielding Grandmaster Varka himself, and his silhouette makes it look like he's wielding 2 normal swords because of his sheer size. He's huge, look at that. He's going to be an animal character, but if he's holding 2 claymores like this, then he might just be a DPS as well. I mean, I don't think he's gonna be a support if he looks like this. Third is Nicole, the central figure with the distinctive flowing cape and her teacup. Her silhouette is easy to spot because of the hex and circle design motifs, as well as her angel form, which looks similar to Zibai's design as well. Fourth is Linnea or Linnea, an Adventurers Guild member mentioned in Aino and Inefa's voice lines, and she's also seen in Aino's cutscene, and she seems to have pink hair, just like Aino as well. Now this 5th character is a toss-up between Sandrone and the Snow Maiden. This silhouette reminds me of Snegorochka, the Snow Maiden, and the one in the Nod Cry teaser. But having a floating mech might mean that she isn't the Snow Maiden at all. This floating robot specifically might just be another model of Sandrone as well. The current one that we know is just the one that she always had, but after Sandrone literally throwing hands on Dottore, she might actually need a new model, and this one might just be it. Now for the 6th missing reflection, oh boy. This 6th missing character is a reflection distorted in the water beneath the others, which I think means that it's a character that doesn't belong in this world. Now I think it's going to be Alice because she's already made an appearance just like Nicole, and honestly more Hexarai related characters should be released as well. She's also not from this world, and honestly giving her a right side up silhouette would be as obvious as Varka and Nicole anyway, and we've all been waiting for her since like 1.0 at this point, so I guess Hoyo is just trying to hide her before anyone tries to make any assumptions. The other is that it's a shade, specifically Renova or Easteroth. Now this makes sense because the True Moon and the time travel lore and the death of Columbina fits perfectly with adding a shade and her lore into the game. I know it's very unlikely, but a man can dream, can't he? The other final character is Dottore himself. Now I wouldn't mind getting a full villain character be playable. We already have borderline evil characters, and the most evil character right now is Alice. So why not get a fully evil character for once? Come on, give us a villain, Hoyo. But honestly, the safest bet is Sandrone. You could already see the skirt from here, so yeah. And that's pretty much it, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. I guess I should mention Piramida as well, which is the HQ of the Lightkeepers at ending segment. And the most interesting part about this patch or this area is that within the island of Piramida, we'll be getting new world quests that actually have the new characters in them. One for Iluga fighting the new Wild Hunt monsters, one for helping Varka and his expedition camp, and one with Nicole related to the Sealies and rebuilding Sealy homes. The other is related to Reed Miller's treasure, which we've seen in the trailer as a treasure trove of floating Mora. There's also 2 new sub-areas named Pillar of Embla, where the wildlife have adapted to their Kuvaki and defended against the Wild Hunt, with some of their abilities being pretty similar to the Golden Shield in the Frostmoon Scions' camp. The other is Kipumaki Cliff, which is basically named Mountain of Pain, filled with the Abyss and the Wild Hunt corruption. There's also this new boss, which looks like an amalgamation of Wild Hunt humans and Hilichurl limbs and Rift Wolves, which is just a horrific way for the Abyss to mimic things. With that said, I'm way more excited to what happens with Dottore after we beat him though, and how exactly Columbina is going to return or appear apart from just following the prophecy. But that's it from me. I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. So as always, stay mad, dearists. Bye!